Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. I trust you've all been well, and it's very wonderful to see you here at the end of our series on Witcher schools. We've seen them all, from the powerful bears to the knowledgeable manticores and to the agile cats, but now it's time to finally talk about the most notable and famed Witcher school, the School of the Wolf. And if any of you are interested, then please stick around till the end, because we're going to talk a little bit about what might come next after this series and after this video. The Wolf Witchers have a very similar origin story and start just like many of the other Witcher schools. They were once a fracture from the Old Order, being once trained in knighthood and chivalry like many others before they all went their separate ways. The original founders of the school decided to settle themselves at first in the caves near the Morin Valley, planning their next move and I suppose gathering supplies and likely wondering what on earth was going to be in store for them. This was a very turbulent time for all Witchers, since I doubt that many of them planned very far ahead after separating from their roots. Eventually, they discovered the keep of Kaer Morhen, whose original builders had apparently abandoned it, and so the wolves took it for themselves. It made for a fine home and a fine training ground for new witchers. Over the years that followed, many would come back during winter just in order to spend time with their brethren. The Wolf School built a reputation among the surrounding lands, being renowned as reliable and powerful monster hunters. During these high years, there are many tales and stories that speak of how famed these warriors were, how the common folk trusted them, and how needed they became in a world filled with monsters. However, the years of the wolf were harshly numbered. People began to grow doubtful. Word was spread of mutant warriors who had no feelings nor soul. More and more people were swayed by groups of radical humans who eventually stormed the keep of Kaer Morhen. No one knows quite why this first attack happened, but it is likely that superstition and the idea of something non-human became too much for some people to handle. It was such a sudden attack and so hateful that all witches present lost their lives. After the radical groups had disbanded, the remaining witches who had been out on the path took back their keep and buried their dead. But never would they regain their full strength. For the time that followed, there was a period when the Wolf School and the Cat School were both being funded by Kaedweni monarchs, allowing the witches to once again grow and hope to regain their former glory and reputation. There were exchanges between students as they learnt from each other, and although many wolves did not trust the cats, the older witches befriended one another and things seemed to be once again on the mend. However, it was not to last. King Radowit II was a powerful monarch, but his thoughts were influenced heavily by the court mages. They persuaded him that the Witcher schools were a threat to his power and to his rule. The king, under their manipulation, then ironically manipulated the master of the Cat School to betray the wolves during a Witcher tournament. As to what he persuaded him with and whether he was bribed, it's not really said, but we can only imagine that given the cat's very emotional state, it can't have been too difficult to make him angry or make him feel something against the wolves, since their relationship was not exactly stable as it is. The cats agreed to betray their brethren and ambush the wolves while they were unaware. A fight played out, and just when almost all the wolves had fallen, the king ordered his men to slaughter the cats as well. This led to not only the downfall of the wolves, but also helped bring the downfall of the cats, killing off two schools swiftly and mercilessly. Today, the Wounded Wolves linger on in their own way, but like many other schools, they do not take on any new students since many of the trials and the assistant mages have vanished into history. Like other schools, they are left with very few in their ranks, without the will nor the ability to train newcomers. The way of the Witcher is sadly passing from the world, fading into tales and myths, legends that are spoken about softly near a nighttime fire. But their stories will never be forgotten, for every Witcher who has ever lived has left their mark on the world. From the lands of Kedwin to the Empire of Nilfgaard to the Isles of Skellige and to the world beyond, everyone will forever know of the warriors that carry their blades of steel and silver. As always everyone, thank you so much for watching, and if you stayed around for this entire series, then I hope you enjoyed all the episodes. I realise that in all technicality there's one school left, which is the School of the Crane, but there just isn't any information to go on. I mean, there are a few details about them, but otherwise I don't think it's a video that can really be in this style and done this way, because it's more of a big theoretical video. So maybe that will be something I'll make in the future. And thank you to all my patrons who are supporting this content, and if you would also like to help toss a coin to your Witcher, then you can find my Patreon down below. I'm not sure what content will come next, but I do have some ideas for some cyberpunk animations and for some further Witcher lore, which will either be animated or done in the way I've been doing it for the last like 4 years now. So if you would like to, then please let me know down in the comments what you'd like to see next, and if any of you are actually interested in seeing cyberpunk content. And just know that if it is cyberpunk, it will be animated and done in a style that may be similar to this, but it's something that I've got to work out, because I want to make sure it stands out and that it's something special that you won't be able to find anywhere else, because that's the important thing. It's been a really wonderful experience being able to make these videos, because they're very different from what I'd normally do, and I actually might release a little, not really a making of, but I recorded some of the stuff that I did for the first video, and I thought it'd be fun to actually do a little process breakdown of some of the stuff that I did, because, I don't know, it might be something that some of you guys are interested in. But until the next one, ladies and gentlemen, you go and have a very, very wonderful day. SG1.